Welcome, welcome. Disrupt Fighting, joining the dark side, playing Reanimator in Duel Commander. The commander is Terra Magical Adept. When it enters, mill 5 cards, put 1 enchantment card milled this way into your hand, and 6 mana tap. You can return it transformed, and when you transform it, you make a copy that it's token that's a copy of target non-legendary enchantment, gains haste. If it's a saga, 3 loyalty counters on it, and it's sacrificed, and then you also have lots of mana on top of being a 6/6 flyer. I think the mill 5 cards to get things into the graveyard is what we want to do, because there are a bunch of big fatties in the deck, Archon of Cruelty, Grizzlebrand, Galta, that we want to reanimate with Exhume, Gorgeous Vengeance, Persist, Shallow Grave. So, bunch of reanimation. We also get to play the Dumb Frog. Hopefully I get to win around with it. Because there is no sideboarding and I feel matches should be generally quicker, I will try the live playtesting. So I will, with you, play the League live, comment on my thoughts live. Let's see how long this will take. See you in round number 1. When I recorded the first match live, I noticed that it was 40 minutes. Our matchup is against Control Tassigor, the one I played 2 weeks ago. Felt fantastic, but the games take long, so I decided to do the playback. This was the first starting hand. I only had 3 of the 5 colors that I needed. I did have a discard and I did have Emperor of Bones. Unfortunately, this is just an Inquisition of Kozilek, so I cannot get the big creatures in my yard. And we're playing against Control with lots of removal, so I decided to mulligan. Second hand is even worse. We have discard, we have a big creature, and we have something to reanimate. However, I do not want to go to 5, so I'll keep it. And I hope that the Hedge Maze gets us there. Finds a reanimation. I put it on top just to have more. I don't grieve on turn 1 because I want to wait for the crucial turn. I knew about the Necromancy from the Surveil, so we are getting closer to accomplishing the reanimation. Unfortunately though, the Retainers only gets legendary creatures, and the grief has to bin the Necromancy if I want to keep the Grizzlebrand in hand. Here, there's an argument for just casting grief. I could also Thoughtseize myself and play the Loyal Retainers or the Necromancy next turn. Also possible, but I decide to start with a grief, see what my opponent is playing with. He has a bunch of counter spells: Cryptic Command, Force Spike, Force Negation, Neoform, possibly getting Hullbreaker Horror, and Sauron's Ransom, so a way to draw cards. I decide to discard the Force Spike. I'll keep the revealed cards open here that you can see them at any time, because that means I can cast my commander and hopefully mill some big creatures in the graveyard. Let's see what we hit. Land, 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 Bone Shards, Inquisition, no big creatures, that's unfortunate. So my reanimate plan next turn will have to wait a little bit, or I have to pick the grief with the Necromancy. Opponent got a Surveil land, played a land, and now passes. I think he should play Tassigor. So this is gone. We know about 4 of 5 cards in his hand. And he's playing the Tassigor. Noteworthy, he's playing it off the green land and not the blue land. Let's see what we find. Leyline Binding. It's cool, but we have Command Tower, so it costs 3 mana. It's a bit pricey, given that my opponent has Force of Negation in hand. I decide to play Necromancy. Let's see if my opponent forces. He doesn't, not afraid of grief. So I get another card. I will dismiss this, see what the card was that he was drawing. He drew a land. I discard the Cryptic Command. This is the scariest card in my opponent's hand. And hopefully from there we can do something nice. He still has a good answer for Leyline Binding and Thoughtseize and Force of Negation. And also 4 mana to activate Tessiger. Fetches. Plays Neoform. Hullbreaker Horror. So I know about Ransom and Negation in hand. Hullbreaker Horror, the card I disliked very much when I played it. The Grief has Menace. It can still attack. I also attack with the Terra because I have the Loyal Retainers. I can get the Terra back. But my opponent drew a 2 mana counterspell. And then I decide to concede. Maybe we can draw it. We have a Surveil land. Don't want to click it away. It is, let's put the library here and the stack here maybe. It is not a land, so we bin it. Hopefully drawing a blue card next, blue land next turn. So we can cast the frog and win with that little thing. I snap the starting town. Here I like casting Grief first, but also there are not so many cards that interact in my opponent's deck. Probably better sequencing would be to Grief first. My opponent reveals a hand with only 1 removal spell and Fatal Push. The rest is garbage, lands, Ponder and Heritage Reclamation. So the frog will very likely win game number 2, as it always does. He exiles my Torsten, draws a card, but now I get to draw a card from the frog. I discard the Bahamut, because it's no worth in my hand anyways. Well, I can draw Show and Tell, so maybe that was my bad. And here I just play Terra, mill some more, put some damage on the stack, or on the battlefield. Ponder. So this is played, this is played. He even played the Command Tower because all the other lands would have entered tapped. So he has 3 unknown cards in hand, but no answer to the frog. He would have played it already. So let's get in for 6. Oh, maybe he wouldn't have played it already. Ah, it cannot be countered. Alright, alright, alright. So let's play the Belmerk. Get back the Froggy. Play the Froggy and pass. Opponent has 3 lands in hand, 2 unknowns. So another Tessiger here, but the frog can fly over it, and we have plenty of cards in the graveyard that we can use. So let's give the frog flying. I put the cards away from our opponent, doesn't do so much anymore. Fly over the Tessiger, it's too small. We can discard Ashen Rider because we found Persist. Let's persist Ashen Rider. He has a Spell Snare, that's good. We have a follow-up in Malevolent Rumble. I shouldn't play the land because I drew, or I will get one of the Surveil lands, and that would have been much better on the battlefield instead of Flooded Strand. It's the first round where I'm still getting to know how the deck works. Fortunately though, the deck plays plenty of Surveil lands. I put another land in the graveyard. Necromancy, fantastic draw. I give the frog flying first. Let's fly over the Tessiger. draw another card. Animate that. Cool. So let's put Necromancy on the stack. Maybe here. Target. Bahamut. The bigger, the better. My opponent responds with a Cremate. Maybe let's just put it in the middle. Exile target card from the graveyard, draw a card that I've never seen before. Was a bit surprising. I guess it draws a card. I don't get the Bahamut, but I have Animate Dead. And I still have a good target in Ashen Rider, so I get to Ashen Rider the Tasigur. He activates. I give him the Spell Snare. Play my Surveil land. Bone Shards in the graveyard. Overlord threatening to come back soon. Or to be like unimpeded. And we win game number 2. Fantastic. Game number 3. The hand is a bit of a bummer, but we do have Hunting Grounds. Threshold. So 7 cards or more in the graveyard. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Fantastic card. I wanted to try it out. And with the fetch land and Terra, we already have 6 cards in the graveyard. So let's try the card. Probably the hand is too bad and I shouldn't keep. But I wanted to play this Hunting Grounds. And I was surprised that my opponent surveils Demonic Tutor to the graveyard. So probably his hand is good enough. Yeah, never happened to me before. Let's get a Surveil land. I hope I get the black one. More Jeremiah, that's a decent decision. And there is a... maybe I put the library here. No, it's not cool. Library here and this deck maybe here. Yep. There's a Dance of the Dead. So we have 3 ways to reanimate, nothing to put in the graveyard. I still keep it on top. It's a mistake. That should be in the graveyard. Knowing how the deck functions, I should have binned it because I have too many ways to reanimate. I was hoping on that Hunting Grounds, and for the Hunting Grounds it would be even better if the Dance of the Dead would be in the graveyard. So totally my mistake. Let's see if it gets punished. Bitter Reunion is a cool card, but I decide to play Terra first. My opponent has a Brain Search. Cool. Terra will resolve. Most likely it doesn't. Subtlety. Terra will be in a command zone. Maybe I should have put it in the graveyard, but too risky. Here my opponent has a probe into a Tasigur. He knows what's up. He knows that I can do Bitter Reunion into Dance of the Dead next turn. I start with the Show and Tell. He has to counter it. Archmage's Charm. Archon of Cruelty, not on the battlefield yet. I'm still far away from Hunting Grounds. 5 more cards. Tamiyo is annoying. I play a Bitter Reunion, discarding Loyal Retainers. Probably I should have discarded the Archon because I could have cast Dance of the Dead now. I was still hoping for the Hunting Grounds. But we do have Leyline Binding as a removal for anything he does, and another Surveil land. Let's see if it gets punished. Attacks. Puts a clue token on a battlefield. Probably I should have cast a Leyline Binding beforehand. We Surveil again. That is one of the good aspects about the deck. You play all the Surveil lands. Atraxa is a fantastic card to have in the graveyard. I cast a Leyline Binding. I want to get rid of Tasigur. No activation in response. Probably means he has removal spell or counter spell. Let's find out. Play Kavaro. Consider. Cling to Dust. At least I get the Loyal Retainers. Opponent cracks a clue. Tamiyo doesn't flip yet. That's good for sure. Makes another clue. Plays Tessiger. We draw Grief. Archon has to go, unfortunately. Grief Seas. Cut down Demonic Consultation and Boseiju. Boseiju, of course, perfect answer for Hunting Grounds. Demonic Consultation at combo cards. I take the Consultation. And I replay Terra. Hopefully hitting some creatures. My opponent just draws a card. And kills my Hunting Grounds because it would have been life once the Terra resolves. I mean, he could still Boseiju it. Just doesn't cast the card. And we find Ruff and Mickey. That's definitely a cool card to reanimate. Hopefully we get to do it next turn. Retainers, or the Cavero copying retainers, cannot attack. And here I missed that I could have returned one of my legendary creatures with the retainers. My bad. Yeah, this is the first round of the deck. When I recorded, I already played 5 of them, so I know how the deck works a little better. Here he takes my removal spell, my reanimation spell, excuse me. And this prompts me to read Loyal Retainers. I'm reading Loyal Retainers. And I get the coolest card there is. I wanted Atali. I don't think it matters so much what you take, because our opponent cuts down his own Tamiyo, and then he has enough fuel in the graveyard for Cling to Dust. So completely my mistake. I could have done that last turn. But it doesn't matter because I get to flip my Terra. Put Leyline Binding on the battlefield as a copy. Get the Tessiger. I don't know how it works. I thought it's permanently exiled, but it's only until the end of turn. Maybe taking the Bitter Reunion and looting one of the big creatures away would have been better. Let's see if I get punished. My opponent gets a Lorien revealed, so Tessiger activation in main phase. Clear sign of desperation. We have a 6/6 flyer on the battlefield that also copies some enchantments that I have. Let's Surveil. Shifting Woodland is fantastic because I get to copy one of the creatures in my deck. This time I get the Bitter Reunion. Discard one of the big things. We draw Persist and Bone Shards. So let's start with Shifting Woodland on the Ruff. Let's Persist. Oh, we can Bone Shards first, I guess. He mills again. Gets nothing too exciting. I give him Cling to Dust to his hand. And I tapped the mana wrongly. I had 2 black manas. Cast Bone Shards. I should have definitely kept up a black mana, but it doesn't matter. We still get to attack for 13, and the Ruff will find something cool, hopefully. He finds Voltboard Tyrant 6/6. Whenever creature you control power 4 enters, gain 3 life, draw a card, and dies, you get a token. Good value. And it's the black mana issue once again. So the deck is half cards, black mana. I noticed it too late and I tapped incorrectly. Someone good would have, of course, won, because there is, I think there was something hasty in the graveyard, wasn't there? No, okay, so it doesn't matter probably. Damnation, alright. But we do have to persist. Opponent concedes 3. Hopefully we get to continue our streak in round number 2. But we do play against Kettermoss, so a deck that aims to exile cards in the graveyard, and it happens to be quite strong against a deck that wants to reanimate from the graveyard. So let's see if there's a chance. Surveil, I don't like to discard, because he has lots of 1 mana permanents and his deck is based around exile. Maybe taking the discard could have been nice to protect my hand, but I would have only drawn it this turn. So I begin by surveilling lots of cards, putting lands in the graveyard. And I want to play my Terra.
Let's see what I hit. My opponent has Manatide, black-white deck, 1-off Manatide. It always wins the game. Yeah, I could have respected it just playing the land tapped or playing another survey land, but I think against the white deck that has no counter magic besides Manatide, you just play into it and you complain when you lose. Brainstorm. Not that fantastic. Fetch land. Not that fantastic. I should have put the Faithless Looting in the graveyard because I mill the cards anyways. And here I misclicked. I wanted to get the frog back, but I didn't choose it. So 2 mistakes that are costly because my opponent has a Nihil Spellbomb activating, Ketramos also drawing him a card. Dire situation. We still can't draw a Fatty because we have Sneak Attack. I decide to play Terra once again. Nothing in the graveyard of interest. My opponent has a Force of Despair, exiling the Terra again. Tainted Pact. Exiling half of the library of our opponent. Finally found something he likes. Attacks for 4. I'm at 8 life. It's close. Sneak Attack. Nothing to put in. Opponent has a Bowmaster. That's strong. I Sneak Attack in my 4/4. He has a Swords. I gain 4 life. I think that's important in the situation. Sheoldred is of course fantastic, but we do have Loyal Retain. We do have Academy Rector, so I can give it haste from the Sneak Attack, and then find something. But unfortunately, it is a little too late. The commander has Menace and Indestructible, and there's no card in the deck, at least from the enchantments, that can get rid of it. This is one that destroys up to 1 target non-land permanent, but it cannot destroy Ketramos, and I lose game number 1. Maybe it was the misclick with the frog, but I think I had the Sneak Attack on the battlefield. I just need to draw some action. I also had the bringing back from the graveyard. The moment I have a reasonable creature, I just didn't find it. Unfortunate. Hopefully game number 2 is a bit better. My hand is a stinker. We have Unmask and some big creatures, but nothing to reanimate. Shifting Woodland is quite slow. And there's also something to reanimate. So I will ship it. Second hand. We have something to do, something to find something, even a removal spell, reanimation. I keep it, but the mana looks very, very terrible. Basically need to draw lands, and the correct lands, for the rest of the game. I bin the big creature to the bottom of my deck, and hopefully only drawing lands from now on. At least we get to cast that Rumble. That's cool. Get a red mana. So we are 3 out of 5 lands. Opponent has a Ghost Vacuum, so interaction for the graveyard. I brainstorm lock myself. The game is as good as over. There's nothing much I can do. At least the Terra can mill the brainstorm cards away. But my mana situation is terrible. I was hoping that I could get rid of some of the bad cards in my hand. Instead I had to get rid of even more bad cards. We can still draw land. Hopefully that's what we're doing. The clock of our opponent is not that great. Ketramos is here now. We drew land, so we get to play Chaos Defiler. I dumbfully click on Ketramos because I don't read the keywords. Menace, Lifelink, Indestructible. Chaos Defiler destroys. And it didn't do anything. Well, it tried to destroy Ketramos, and Ketramos said, no, I'm cool. So it's good to do these mistakes once, that you don't have to do them in the tournament. At least now I get to get the Ghost Vacuum. So in the end, it didn't really matter. It would still be exactly the same result in the end. Disruptor Flute on Terra is sad. Here we have the Priest. I decide that I would rather look for Surveil land to put a land on top because I want to cast that Ref. And Mickey getting a Scrubland, casting Hunting Grounds would of course also be good. Opponent exiles my Priest. No Chaos Defiling anytime soon. Attacks for 4. I Surveil from a black land. Archon, super sad. I only have 6 mana. Off to the graveyard. Opponent has Calamity's Wake. Sure. If I draw a land, I can play Ruff and Mickey. Let's go. No land. Not even a creature. I cannot play anything. You play. I think if we drew a land, or if I drew a land this turn, then I would have won like 80%, maybe 90%. This way I don't. Opponent makes a Kaya. I decide to kill the Skyclave Apparition, binning the Hunting Grounds. Hopefully, yeah, that was a correct choice. Cool. We can still draw a land. Or we draw Reanimation. So let's put something in graveyard. I take some time to read over the cards, but I can't find anything better than Ashen Rider, because the Ashen Rider actually gets rid of Ketchamos. I was on 7 life. I wanted to spare my life a little bit and also attacks the Kaya for 5. Unfortunately, I don't get the Ketchamos die trigger because I have to exile with the Corpse Dance. And unfortunately also I couldn't buy back the Corpse Dance. I was missing 2 mana. My opponent plays a Ketchamos. Land. No land. Just a Cavero, but it gets the Skyclave Apparition, so it exiles the Ketchamos once again. It looks fine. Like, I feel okay. I should draw a land at some point. Any action is also good. Opponent has a Toxic Deluge on 4. That's sad. And a Sheldred, that's even worse, because I am almost dead. 5 life. I needed to draw a land right here, right there. I did not, and I lose. The Sheldred will attack me for 4 life, and in my upkeep I will draw a card and lose 2 more. Unfortunate. I could have drawn a land in any of the last turns, and I didn't. I lose round number 2. Hopefully round number 3 goes a little bit better. We play against BJR on Light Pause, so an Aura deck. I feel it should be fine. My hand is terrible on the mana. We do have some interaction in Grief, but also the Academy Rector and the Multiverse, not the most greatest combinations, so I mulligan, or I just have to click forward. And here we have only spells, again terrible. I mulligan once again, and we have some way to, or a little bit to do, which is cool. Opponent has an Esper Sentinel, that's a bit scary, but I have the Surveil lands. And I have to combo with Show and Tell, either Valgavoth or Ruff and Mickey. It should be fine. Opponent plays a 1-drop, keeps open a mana. I feel a little bit like Manatraders. So probably I should have played the Careful Study here. Opponent attacks for 2 life. I decide to play my Terra. Opponent has a great answer in Doorkeeper Thrall, so I don't get the mill triggers. Plays Light Pause, enchants it, makes this creature a bit bigger, gets another enchantment, attacks for 2. I think here well, let's see. Cast the Careful Study. Play the Show and Tell. Put in Ruff and Mickey. Opponent puts in Containment Priest, which is the counter to Ruff and Mickey. Unfortunate. So maybe I should have kept the
Volgavoth instead, but I thought attacking with a Ruffle Mickey, finding something cool would be nice. It wasn't nice. Now my opponent gets to go insane with the Flickering Ward, returning, playing, getting all auras he wants out of the deck. He also has an On Thin Ice for my commander. And of course the perfect answer in Containment Priest. So he has enough damage with the Esper Sentinel. I concede game number 1. Containment Priest made my decision a bit worse, for sure. Hopefully round number 2 works a bit better. We do have some interaction. We do have the Thoughtseize, we do have the lands. Here something that I didn't consider much at the start of the game. It's only Shocklands, Thoughtseize, 2 life, and I play against an aggro deck. Thinking about it now, in this situation I'll probably mulligan the hand, because we already begin the game on 16 life. Our opponent shows us a bunch of equipments. I didn't read that card enough because it means that he can activate the Light Pause right away. Maybe I should have discarded the Lash Knife. Opponent has land, Bodyguard. Bodyguard also makes it painful because I cannot kill the Light Pause. I Abrupt Decay the Bodyguard. If I would have taken the Lash Knife, I think I would have had a bit more time. I lost 2 life again, 14. Here my opponent plays the Light Pause, can tap it to put the Lash Knife on it. Gets Brilliant Wings, which gives it hexproof, so now I cannot kill it. Because that was my play for that turn. I wanted to destroy it. I didn't read the auras again. I had to get the enchantment, and now he gets to go ham with his auras once again. Boop, boop, boop. Only attacks for 8. We had 4. But I dealt 8 damage to myself. That is plenty enough for him to win the game. So this is definitely a glass cannon deck where you are rewarded because your opponent doesn't read your cards, doesn't know your cards. I don't think it's any good. Like, when did it ever win anything? But of course, if your opponent is not familiar with the deck, with the format, doesn't know all the tricks you can do, such as Lash Knife, he can get you, or you can get him, fairly easily. And that's what my opponent did. Noteworthy, I shocked myself 3 times and I played Thoughtseize, so I did half the work. He didn't even have to attack with that much. So hopefully this round goes a bit better. We are playing against Tifa, mono green, landfall, big creature. My hand has a little bit of something to put in a graveyard and to reanimate, but nothing really to reanimate. Opponent mulligans to 6. Let's see how it goes. Careful study. I find nothing big. Unfortunate. Opponent has a mana dork in Wild Growth. I brainstorm lock myself once again. Maybe I should have just played the Emperor of Bones here. Opponent has Tifa. I do have an Abrupt Decay. I decide to cast it in my turn, hopefully. Oh no, I'm waiting. I think I would always want him to do the first trick, but it's like in fact in Modern Legacy, you never want to do it in combat. So opponent starts with a protection spell. I cast my Abrupt Decay. Opponent has the next protection spell. Pity, pity, pity. And with the doubling on the stack, he plays a Wild Shape, makes it a 3/3, so now it's a 6/3, shows me the land, 12, 24 damage. I have nothing to interact with. I lose this game 1. So I need to be quick. This hand has a turn 2 Flash Atraxa, but maybe I can find a reanimation with Careful Study or Faithless Looting. Let's try it out. I begin with the looting, so I take not so much damage. I draw a bunch of lands. Bin some lands to the graveyard. Opponent just has a forest. Slow start. Play a careful study now. This time we hit the 2 creatures and we also have a death to reanimate. That's cool. And my opponent has only a very slow start. Plays the cup, a landfall creature. But we do have Atraxa. And Atraxa hitting removal, hitting a land, hitting discard. Feels good. He has an Invigorate in hand. I discard it, so the combo kill is gone. And I have the Miracle Creature on top, and the Miracle Creature can get the Volgavoth back next turn. So my opponent had a slow start, no elf on turn 1. And I had Atraxa on turn 3, and Volgavoth and Metamorphosis Fanatic on turn 4. So the glass cannons shot against each other, and this time my glass cannon was better. I am at 19 life and I have 20 blockers with life, 20 toughness worth of life gain. So he needs to do 60 damage to get over me, right? No, 40. No, I get life. 59, exactly 60. So yeah, my opponent still tries. I respect that. I want to gain 20 life here. 39. I have a removal spell for his commander and just play some of the cards out that he had, and he concedes. So whoever is faster will win the game. My hand number 1 didn't look good. My hand number 2 doesn't look good either. We do have a tutor that can get a Psychic Frog, but being on the draw means that he gets to play his commander before I get to have my turn 2. That's of course miserable because I cannot Dance of the Dead before he kills me. Here he has his commander. I'm thinking about a long time what to get. I still believe that the Psychic Frog is the best card to find. I should have done all of this with the starting town, but it loses life. And here I'm again thinking long what to do, and I decide to bounce. My opponent shows me Vines of the Vastwood, which is a turn 3 kill. He has a creature, pumps the power, but I'm so slow now because I have to play the frog and then wait a turn to play the Dance of the Dead. That his rather anemic start in Tifa plus Hydra will be enough. Given, of course, the Vines of the West would have been a turn 3 kill because he had the fetch land. Now he gets to go bonkers with Prizzly Bill, the Hydra, and the Tifa. Just makes them bigger. And I only have 60 life, they trample, and he has one more landfall trigger to give. So I lose this round against Tifa, round number 4. I am in total 1-3 now. One that makes tokens. Our hand looks fantastic. We have Unmarked Grave and Necromancy, so something to put in the graveyard and something to get out. Opponent starts with the Guide of Souls, so it seems like an aggressive deck. I just play a land to take not so much damage. Opponent plays his commander, makes a 2-1, attacks for 1. Main phase Unmarked Grave. Again, I think long what to get, but I don't think there's anything better than Archon. Opponent has to have a removal spell like Swords to Plowshares, and even that kills a creature and nets me a card. Opponent has to discard a card. I should be very much ahead, and I still have all the other things going in my hand. Of course, playing the Survival and reanimating Atraxa next turn could have been a good play as well, but I went with the Archon, probably because I thought about the play when I opened my starting hand. At least the Archon gets rid of one creature he has. Opponent just passes on 2 lands. It's a bit suspicious, maybe has some counter spells. The playback is glitching. It's usually a sign of something broken, that it's about to happen. Let's see what it is. Okay, I drew another one.
to get something from the graveyard. I play Dance of the Dead because I'm scared of Force Spike. Do get Archon back. He discards and sacrifices. I draw a card. Opponent has the swords. At least I gain 7 life. I'm on 25. It will take him much longer to get rid of me, and I still have the Survival of the Fittest in combination with the Necromancy. That should do it. I play the Survival. Opponent concedes. So the mana is awful. We don't have any combination of reasonable cards. Nothing to sacrifice the Rector to. And yeah, clear mulligan. Here we have lands. Something to put in the graveyard. The Baelmerk. Thorsten, also not too exciting, but I don't want to go to 5. Maybe it's correct in this deck to mulligan to 5 more aggressively. But I just feel I am dying to my starting hands way too often. So let's play some surveillance, hopefully get lucky. I don't have a way to reanimate it, but at least it's in the graveyard for future reanimation. Opponent has his commander, makes it 2-1. I will cast the Baelmerk. Hitting nothing. I don't want to get the Ruff and Mickey to my hand. Maybe casting the Unmarked Grave on a Psychic Frog could have been a good play. Maybe Thoughtseize could have been a good play. Completely whiffing on Overlord. Feel sad. Don't like what I did there. Opponent has Disruptor Flute on Terra. That is a little bit annoying. Play the Grave. He has Daze. I could have played around the Daze by playing a land. Again, not knowing what my opponent plays. Feels a bit strange to play Daze in a deck that also plays all these lands, but maybe he's lucky enough to always have a land that is an island on the battlefield. And he has Natural Drawn, also the Graveyard Hate, so now even drawing something to reanimate Ruff and Mickey won't be enough. My glass cannon is about to shatter, I feel. Intuition might be something. Opponent eats my Ruff. At least the Overlord is coming back soon. Now my opponent decides he doesn't want to give me more time. He makes his Keen-Eyed Curator into a 7/7. This way giving me more chances to find something to reanimate. I cast Intuition and I have no clue what to get. Like, it's the card where you need to know the deck and your opponent's deck much better, but given that I have no reanimation in hand, a reanimation like Exhume would be cool. But I also have nothing in the graveyard, so I really didn't know. I just took 3 removal spells. That I can also get the Thorsten out of my hand. In Bone Shards, Bitter Triumph and Chaos Defiler. And he gave me the Bitter Triumph. I drew another land. I cast the Triumph on the Curator. Having to discard Thorsten, he still gets to eat it in response. But at least I have also the Chaos Defiler in my graveyard, so 6 life. Overlord coming back next turn. Maybe I have a chance. I don't, because my opponent has a commander that can be flipped into a 4/4, attacking exactly for lethal, and I lose this game 3 and round 5 to get a 2-3 overall record. The hand looks reasonable. I have some removal, I have some discard, I have something to reanimate. Ruff and Mickey is far from being castable. Let's try it. Like the mana, not a fan. And also, like, it feels like a puzzle, and you have to get lucky that you get the right cards combined with another. And also I think there is no Surveil land that gets me to all colors. I really wanted to Surveil. Maybe that was a mistake. But I also didn't want to draw that one. Here I didn't want to take damage, but I noticed too late that the Emperor of Bones needs to be cast with black mana. So that was definitely not smart. I grief my opponent, but I see a bunch of nothing, Manatide being the best card, Ramp, Extraction Specialist, Mockingbird. I will just discard the Manatide, and you see that my opponent doesn't really have much. I feel alright, I should have enough time to set up. Hopefully I can draw something for the graveyard. So my opponent plays the Grove, the land. He has one unknown, Extraction Specialist, and Mockingbird in hand. That should be fine, shouldn't it? I was a bit suspicious that he didn't play his commander on 2 mana. He drew Disruptor Flute, naming Terra. Little does he know that I don't even have the red mana to cast it. That was lucky after all, because the Emperor of Bones would have been named by Disruptor Flute probably. And here I make the next mistake of getting the Manatide. I knew about the Mockingbird. Mockingbird can copy Emperor Bones and take in grief. So that was a bit unfortunate. Don't like this play, but yeah, it happened. Don't do it at home. I don't think the grief would have been insane, because his hand is almost discarded. He just has Extraction Specialist. But maybe I had more chances. Tainted Pact is cool. I'm dire need of red mana, so I Tainted Pact for red mana, put the Marsh Flats on the battlefield. Swift Configuration is a good answer for Emperor of Bones. I have an answer for the Surus being flipped, of course. If I had left Hedge Maze, or if I had left the Tundra untapped and tapped Gutless Shrine and Hedge Maze to cast Emperor of Bones, I could have get the Red Surveil land like the Rogers Theater, I think, and then cast the Leyline Binding off of the Tundra. I think that would have been the better line had I thought about the mana situation a bit more. Because then I also had to get this, then I also could get a Surveil into everything. My opponent puts the one with the Multiverse under it. I have the turtle to get back the Tainted Pact, and that's exactly what I'm doing now. Get the turtle, get the pact, put the turtle under the Emperor of Bones. But my life total is shrinking down. He has to play a Seam Rip because he is scared of the Colossal Turtle. Plays his commander again. Has lots of damage on the battlefield. I do have Tainted Pact. I feel if the deck had something like a Damnation, Toxic Deluge, would have been fine. Too bad it doesn't play cards like that. So I look through the deck and there's nothing really that is interesting. I decide that I stop at the first card that puts the Ruff and Mickey into play, and it's Sneak Attack, and then just hope for some miracle, maybe some life gain, maybe some destruction. So I put the Sneak Attack on the stack, put the Ruff and Mickey on the table. I go to combat, turn it to the right, flip the top card of my library. It's glitching. And I put in only Overlord of the Baelmerk. Of course, that is far from being enough to win that game. I also lose round number 5. So we started off strong with a 2-1 against Tessigur. The matchup feels interesting. Tessigur is a slow deck, and that certainly helps Terra to set up and to find ways to reanimate. The moment you reanimate, Tessigur won't do much. Then I got destroyed by Ketramose. The whole graveyard plan against a deck that is based around exiling opponents' graveyards or graveyards in general, miserable. If I knew the deck better, I think there were ways to get ahead and to figure out how to win the game. But I just didn't see the line, so if you saw the mistakes, point them out. I am happy to learn, happy to get better. Then 0-2 against Lightpaws. In game 1 I felt that the deck found a lot of creature-based hate, like this Thrall that counters the Tifa ability, like the Containment Priest that countered the Mickey and Ralph and Mickey ability. So it was a bit strange to see all these creature-based hate cards in a deck. Probably the draw was way above average, but he knew what he's playing against, so he mulliganed to the cards. Why not? And in game 2, I took a lot of damage to myself, and then the light pause just got too big, too fast, and I didn't really assemble the combo quick enough. Then I lost 1 and 2 against Tifa. Tifa super dump, had the quick kill in the 2 games that he won on the play. Even the turn 3 kill with Vines of the Westwood, because you can give it +4/+4, and then a fetch land doubles it twice, 5, 10, 20. I won a game when I played Tifa, but the deck feels like a glass cannon. The moment you play against 2 removal, you won't have a chance, and still the deck is quick, is much more consistent than Terra, much quicker than Terra, so I feel I should probably lose this matchup quite often because I don't have so much removal and my deck feels a bit clunky. And then in the end we played against Surus, a banned creature deck that also found quite a lot of removal to my things and to my creatures, and the draws didn't really work out. Overall, I mulliganed a lot. The mana base, I mean, it's 37 lands, 5 colors. There's 1 basic swamp, and the rest is a mix of all the lands there are. So it can get a bit tricky to find the right mana composition. When you hover over the deck, you see that half of the cards are black, and sometimes I had a lot of non-black lands. Maybe I needed to figure that out earlier and think about the fetching more carefully. In total, the deck is fun to play. If it works, you completely destroy your opponent, not even close. But if it doesn't work, you either have a bunch of high mana value cards in your hand that you cannot cast, or you have a bunch of reanimation in your hand and nothing to reanimate from the graveyard. So it's a glass cannon, and when you play against other glass cannons like Tifa, Light Paws, maybe even Surus and Ketramos, usually the glass cannon that gets there a bit faster is the better glass cannon. And after all, I'm not surprised that I went 1-4, because all the other glass cannon decks were just faster, like Tifa kills on turn 3, while Terra mills 5 cards in the graveyard on turn 3, maybe reanimates on turn 4, maybe kills on turn 5, turn 6, but usually the deck is slower, so there's no real chance against these fast glass cannon decks. I was surprised by Light Paws. I got completely destroyed by Ketramos. So yeah, the deck is fun to play, but I feel that you rely on the matchups a lot, and you also rely on your deck functioning a lot. Probably you also rely on being a good pilot, which I certainly am not. Maybe after 5 rounds I will be better at playing Terra in the future. Also when it comes to fetching, like fetching the right lands. In the last game I couldn't play the Emperor of Bones. In the end it didn't hurt so much because a Disruptor Flute named Terra. It would have named the Emperor. But those are the little things, right? I didn't think about the Mockingbird exiling my Grief. I could have exiled my Grief right away. I was a bit scared of removal, and I wanted to have the Grief in the graveyard for further reanimation spells. Overall, I think given the matchups, it was as expected. Maybe the Band deck in the end seemed beatable, but still lots of cheap creatures, cheap interactive spells, even the Manatide that usually wins the game when you cast it. So maybe this is also a tougher matchup. So yeah, 1-4 in the end, a bit unfortunate, but I guess that's what you get when you play a deck that is a bit of a glass cannon. You rely on the matchups. That is it for today. Duel Commander every Thursday. I hope that in the next Duel Commander League, I am able to put some new cards from the new set. I think it comes out soon when this video is live. I think it's the weekend after the pre-release. So I hopefully find the cards on Magic Online. So far, so good. Have a nice day.